things are always working out for me.
Right.
So I'm on this path, and I think I'm going over there, and I'm headed that way. But then something happens here and here and here that seems weird.
Right.
But if I know for sure that things are always working out for me,
Right.
then I will allow it to fill in. And after the fact, I will be able to see that that which seemed like a wild goose chase, and that which seemed like a wild goose chase, and that which seemed like a wild goose chase were just opportunities for me to, because sometimes, gonna like this, the most convoluted trail is the path of least resistance. Because you've put up all kinds of pieces of resistance, and the universe doesn't say, oh, there's too much resistance, give it up. The universe says, that's what they want, let's give it to them in the way that they can most allow it. And so when you're dealing with a lot of different moving parts with a lot of different people, it can be sort of a wild ride, or seeming wild ride, but it's always just the path of least resistance playing out for the benefit of everyone. That's the other thing, that it's not just your benefit, it's everyone's benefit. And here's a good way of looking at it. You know how you'll see something on television. Maybe it's a political event where everybody's talking about it, and you're trying to form your opinion about it. What really happened on that George Washington Bridge that day? Or whatever. And you're trying to figure out what happened, but you're not privy to enough information to really figure it out. You're just getting bits and pieces from people who want to give you bits and pieces. They call it spin. So you don't have any real way of really figuring out what happened. We want you to understand that you don't have any real way of understanding anything that's going on with anybody else. In other words, it really, you can't come to an accurate conclusion about what anybody else is creating, because you're not privy to their vibrational point of attraction. So if you use your powerful now, where all of your power is right here and now, to day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, do the best you can do to create an environment that just feels good to you when you create it, then through the path of least resistance, everyone with whom you interact will be a pleasing experience. In other words, no one can hinder you once you get that in place. But as long as you're reacting to what they're doing, then you're introducing that vibration into your mix and cluttering up what's going on with you. You hearing that?
And I get that in a general sense, but what I'm talking about here is something a little different. It's about this incredible specificity in terms of names or things. For example, we sold a beach house, right? And as we were trying to sell this beach house in Mexico, we had to get something notarized, and we didn't have anybody. So the next people that came in the door, we asked them to be witnesses. Their last name was Algodones. Then that night, and we finished the deal, that night we were driving away and we stayed at a hotel, and the exit that we stayed at, we didn't realize it when we made the reservations, but when we got there, the exit was Algodones. And then that night we realized that we had forgotten that the name of the beach, the Mexican name of the beach that the house was on, was Algodones Beach. So that we had just sold, okay? So it's like this specificity of strange things. What does that mean? What's it mean?
There are two things we want to say to you.
Yeah.
The first thing that we want to say is that we are keenly interested when you all find the delicate, incredible, powerful power and focus of this non-physical energy that we've been talking about here all day today as strange or weird or coincidence. We want you to reach the place where that's just the way you expect it to be. In other words, you call them coincidences when actually those things were active in your vibration. Esther used to laugh that they would drive all day long and she would only notice one billboard the whole day. And it would be the billboard at the RV park that they were going to stay. And it's the only thing that she'd seen all day because it was the only thing that was pertinent to see. In other words, you are called to participate in the things that are meaningful to you. So what we're encouraging you to begin noticing is that when something is active within you, it is more likely to show itself to you again and again and again and again and again. It really is as simple as that. There's no one working magic. There are no coincidences. It is always the same thing. It's active in my vibration, and I am in a place of such alignment, and my vibration is so active that it is revealing itself to me because I am in a vibrational place of being able to receive the revelation. Most of you are walking through life sort of blind. There is so much help that is surrounding you that you miss because you're letting conditions be what you're responding to rather than the vibration that you've deliberately created being what you are responding to. You see? So when things get rolling and things start working out, it's more likely and it's easier to begin to see that momentum. And that's what we were saying earlier. And many of you nodded when we said it. Isn't it a delightful moment in time when you've gotten out of bed on the right foot, you've deliberately brought yourself into alignment, you've allowed that momentum to grow, there is no non-resistance in your vibration, the momentum's getting stronger and stronger, and you're moving into your day, and instance after instance, episode after episode, circumstance and event after circumstance and event just go well for you, well for you, well for you, well for you. It's like someone with a lot of skill has gone ahead of you and prepared everyone for your arrival to give you just exactly what would feel the best to you in the moment. And we're not just talking about giving you the money you want or the relationships that you want. We're talking about the conversation that feels good and the nudging something that you've been interested in a little bit further. We're talking about how are you filling up your days? Are your days filled with things that you would call fascinating and interesting? Or are your days filled with things that you would call boring and uncomfortable? Because it's all based upon what you've been doing with your vibration. And most people are creating by default, letting what they're observing set their tone, rather than setting their tone and watching what comes. Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is if it's active in your vibration, you're going to see it again and again and again, and that's
what we're saying is the more
means.
active in your vibration it is, and the more in alignment you are with that, the more likely you are to see it. In other words, you might have things in your vibration that have been dormant for a while. Well, if they're dormant, they're not that active. And if you're not tuned into who you are, you're not being that responsive. So it's a combination of strong momentum about something and your sensitivity to that. You're really wanting to train yourself. Our friend says, so it's a double-edged sword, and we want to point at what she was pointing at. So you want to deliberately feel, but you also want to observe what that brings.
Right.
And the more you deliberately feel, the more obvious it will be why what's coming is coming. And until it's obvious to you what's coming is coming, you're not likely to get very deliberate about your vibration. But once you start playing with this, you will be unwilling to watch that television show. It was interesting, and there were interesting characters, and it was well acted, and the plot was compelling, but it was full of experiences that evoked emotions within you that you want to leave behind. And so after a while, you won't be watching that particular television show anymore because you'll realize it's activating things that are not beneficial to you. It's sort of, kind of, exactly, precisely like that.
Okay, thank you. And also I want to thank you. The last time that we spoke, we were trying to sell that beach house in Mexico, and you had said that as soon as we appreciated how that beach house had caused us to become, when we had more self-appreciation for that, the house would sell. Well, it didn't sell for another year and a half, but getting on kind of the trail of appreciation and spending a lot of time focusing on that has been very beneficial. So I want to thank you for that.
So in retrospect, can you say that the timing is always perfect? And if you can not just do that in retrospect, but you can say it in advance, the timing is perfect. Has it come yet? No, but the timing is perfect. Well, you used to be impatient. I'm not anymore because the timing is always perfect. I'm no longer trying to push the pulleys and make the pistons go in the engine. I just let the engine do what it does, and I'm just steering now. Yeah. One of the things that we were advising someone about many years ago, someone wanting to sell a piece of property. And when we asked why, it's because their family had outgrown the house. And the house was tattered and not very appealing and no longer in a very good neighborhood. And all of the logical reasons that someone would want to sell a house. And we said, so listen to the advertisement that you're sending to the universe. Come and buy this house we no longer like. It's old, it's beat up, the plants are mostly dead, there's not room enough for us here, maybe you'd like it. And so she said, what should we do? And we said, remember how you felt when you moved in. What was it like? Oh, we were so excited. We were really moving up. It thrilled us to move into that place. Every weekend, the children and we would go to a nursery and buy another plant and plant it. We moved into the bedrooms. Each of the children had their own space to be. It felt so good to move into that place. And it wasn't a week before someone wanted that place, you see. So when something doesn't happen, like you said, it took 1.5 years, and you weren't really eager to go along with us, that it was really perfect timing because you would have liked it to have been faster. But clearly, there were other things in your vibrational nucleus that you were wanting to resolve that were as important to you as that. And that's the thing that we want you to hear from us. Source always has your back. In other words, there isn't anything that you want that Source isn't assisting you in getting. There's an unconditional love that's being flowed to you, and you are the ones who keep putting the conditions in the way. And if you'll cut it out, things will go faster for you. Seriously.
That was good. And the last property that we sold, I just want to let you know, it doesn't always take us 4 years to sell a property. The last one we sold it sold in 3 days. Escrow closed in 2 weeks.
We know things are good for you, and we don't want you to feel any reason to justify the perfection of your life to us. We've been telling you all day it's unconditional. We know you got it going on. We know you've got it going on. Explanations slow you down, you see. Don't defend or justify or explain. Just receive what you've set up. How's it working out? Not so good, but I set it up. What do you mean? I'm getting exactly what I've been setting up. Boy, doesn't that sound weird to say that? Don't you like to say that? Hey, how's life going? It's going. Just the way I'm setting it up. Just exactly the way I'm setting it up. How'd that thing work out? Just the way I set it up. Exactly the way I set it up. Everything's responding to me exactly the way it should. Oh, when you get hold of that, there's nobody monkeying around in the back room. There's nobody pulling the rug out from under you. There's nobody getting a benefit that was yours. There's nothing that is ever happening to you that is other than the way I set it up.